And we are going to start with talking about Dragon Naturally Speaking and learn from specific documents. Every time you do a transcript in the future, you will be creating documents by voice. And what teaches Dragon the context of the way you speak and the dictations you do is the feature called Learn from Specific Documents. It is an extremely easy thing to do. It's a little annoying because once you feed the documents to Dragon, you have got to go through a list of new words. That I find kind of annoying because the list can be long. What the list will consist of is when you feed Dragon documents, Dragon's going to look at those documents and say, okay, these are the words that are not in my vocabulary. That's not going to be a lot of words. That's going to be unique names. That is going to be names of companies, names of drugs that are new. Usually old drugs are already in Dragon, but a lot of the newer drugs are not. So if you do medical cases, you're going to have drug names, procedure names, things like that. And the things that are new are easily presented to Dragon. That makes it a lot easier than going and finding out what Dragon does not know. And so Learn from Specific Documents actually takes the words that Dragon does not know, presents them to you, lets you choose whether or not to add them to the vocabulary, and then allows you to train them to add them to the vocabulary. Now, I'm going to do that in just a minute to show you, but one of the things I want to show you right now, and I'm having a hard time trying to get this screen gone so that I can show you. Well, you all see at the very top of my screen the Dragon bar. And hopefully you also see this. Yeah. Okay, so what I'm hoping that you see is this is a very small box, and it's the Acoustic and Language Model Optimizer. I went into Dragon before I started the Zoom meeting, and when I was exiting, it came up and asked me if I wanted to launch the Acoustic and Language Model Optimizer, and I said yes, so that I could show it to you. This is not something that you're going to see often, but you are going to see it eventually. And this is something that you want Dragon to do. And so when it gives you the option to do it, say yes and allow it to go through this process. Now, it could take 2 minutes, it could take 10, it could take 20 minutes. So understand that you won't be able to use Dragon while this is happening, but it's important for Dragon to be able to do it. I can't show you right now until it's finished, but you can make Dragon do this by clicking on audio and then clicking on language model optimizing or something like that. I'll show you in a minute when this completes. You see right now that it is adapting my user profile, and it says it's going to take about 2 minutes. So while that's happening, I'm going to bring up the File Explorer, and I'm going to show you where we have for you some texts that you can use to perform Learn from Specific Documents. So I'm going to go to my C drive, local disk C. your C drive may just say Windows C or user C or just C. Beneath local disk C, you will see a folder called Topic Files. When you double click on that folder, you're going to see the marker files and word lists that we use to bring in our markers. But you're also going to see some folders that are really categories. So there's divorce, general litigation, medical, miscellaneous deposition, my clean texts, scripts you probably don't have, that's unique to me, standard, and you should see TNT. You may see to be cleaned. You should see workman's comp. Now, if you double click on any one of these folders, it will open up and show you a bunch of different files. Now, these files, I'm just going to open any one of them because they're all going to look the same. And here's what they look like. Now, if you look at it, I want you to notice that this is all what we refer to as raw text or Dragon text, because this is how Dragon sees your text. You see it formatted, but this is how Dragon sees it. So you'll see the asterisk Q asterisk that represents question, the asterisk A asterisk that represents answer, the asterisk speaker 1 asterisk, which represents speaker 1, and then the speaker 2, and so on and so forth. You'll notice that all the text is bunched together. It's not in transcript style. That is because it's Transcriptionist that does that organizes it like that. Dragon just sees it like this. And so this is the way we want to feed the text to Dragon, because this is what Dragon actually sees. And what we're doing basically is just teaching context, which is why we remove all of the formatting. We do not remove punctuation at all, because without punctuation, there is no context at all. And so we don't remove that. So having said that, let's go and look at the TNT folder. Oh, there's nothing in there. Okay. I guess I never got transcripts from Trinidad, but what you will use to do learn from specific documents is you will use the defaults that are in here for you. You will see your accuracy rise when you begin to use learn from specific documents. Now, more and more as you present your own documents to Dragon, it will get even more accurate, because these documents are from us, not from you. So what I'm going to ask you to start doing is saving your work when you are in Transcriptionist and you've done all of your correction mechanism. I'm going to ask you to save all of your files from here on out, and I'm going to show you how to save. We are just going to export it from Transcriptionist, and we're going to export it into my clean text. So because I am still running the acoustic optimizer here, I still cannot go into Dragon. So I'm just going to go ahead and cancel it so that I can use Dragon, and I'll have to rerun it again later.
Adria, is it possible that some of the resources we put on their computers have cleaned up transcripts?
It is possible.
I'm checking right now. So
yeah, check to see if we have.
Okay, I'll let you know.
Okay, now that Dragon has closed out, I can go into Transcriptionist. The reason I cannot open up Transcriptionist while Dragon is open on my computer is because when I open Transcriptionist, it would automatically close Dragon. And that's a safety feature because we never want Dragon loaded twice because then it wouldn't work properly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to learn from specific documents. And we can do that from our dictation screen, or we can do it from what's called Scratchpad. And the Scratchpad is the last icon on the menu for Transcriptionist. So I'm going to click on Scratchpad, and it's going to open up and ask me to open my user. Okay, just waiting for my engine to load here, and letting Michelle know that I might have to switch her to be the instructor. I'm not feeling very well today, so I'm going to try to push through, but if I have to, I may have to switch so that Michelle can take over. So if something happens that I have to do that, I apologize. But Michelle is quite capable, as all of you know, because you've worked with her with Skype. Excuse me for just a minute. Okay, so I'm going to open up my user profile. Okay, I see topic ready, so I'm good to go. Okay, so what we're going to do, my user came up with an error that said that the profile had not been prepared for use, which is not true. This is an old profile, so I'm not sure what's up, but Dragon is saying it's customizing itself for me, which it only normally does with a new user. So something must have happened with my computer last night. I'm going to click on finish. Okay, so learn from specific documents. Anytime you're in the Transcriptionist application, if you point to an icon, it will tell you what it is. So we're going to do add words from documents, which equates to learn from specific documents. I'm going to click on it once. It's going to bring up this screen. I always check find unknown words, and I always check adapt to writing style. Click on next. Now I'm going to click on add folder, and I'm going to go exactly where I showed you earlier today. I'm going to go to this PC or C, local disk C. Then I'm going to go to topic files, and I'm going to select any folder. So I'm going to select divorce, click on OK. I'm going to click again on add folder, and I'm going to select another folder. I'll do medical, and OK. So now I've got several documents, and I'm going to click on next. And what you're going to see is as Dragon reads the documents, it just puts a check by the document as it finishes reading it. As you can see, it reads them very quickly. All of these files, so that you know, come from our customers over many, many years. So we've been in business for 22 years. So these documents date back some 22 years, some of them. And they were all given to us by our customers. So they're from all over the country. Michelle has created an amazing topic files repository that is much larger than what you have on your computer. And it ranges in subjects greatly. She's done a fantastic job of that. And so we have a lot of cleaned up texts that cover the gamut in different topics. And one of the things about learn from specific documents about this feature is people that work in real time. Let's say that there's a court reporter and she is a voice writer like all of you, and she's got a job coming up, and the job is going to be about divorce. Well, if she runs all of the topic files she has on divorce, then Dragon is going to be more likely to get what she says right during that divorce hearing. As you can see, the next button has become available, so we're going to click on it. Here's what I told you was sort of annoying. For me, it's annoying. There are a ton of words here. These words all came from these documents. Now, these words may very well be, some of them, names. Some of them are going to be drugs. Some of them are going to be like this. I'm not sure what this is. Form frust. It looks like a French phrase, but I'm not familiar with it. So as you're looking through all of these words to decide if these words belong in your vocabulary, the very first thing that I say is, if you don't know what the word means and you are considering putting it in your vocabulary, look it up and see if it's spelled correctly, because court reporters do make mistakes, and sometimes things can be not spelled correctly, and you don't want to add an incorrect word to your vocabulary. So you want to be real careful about that. I say, when in doubt, do without. Meaning, if you don't know if you need the word, don't add the word. Just because it's in here does not mean it's correct. As a matter of fact, it might be in here because it's incorrect. And so Dragon thinks it's a new word. It's not a new word, it's an incorrect word. So you can choose some of these words or you cannot. I want you to notice that to the right, it says frequency. That's how many times it showed up in that document, which, you know, when it's showing up this many times, it's probably a pretty important word to that document at least. So I'm going to go ahead and add this one word just so I can show you. I'll add this one to this. These both look like drugs to me. So I'm going to add those two words just so I can show you what it's like to add words. So these words are checked. I'm going to click on next. And now I have the ability to train them. So I'm going to do check all and train. I hit save. I've trained the words. I can click on next. It's adapting to the writing style, which is very important. While this is going on, because it's taking a while, I'm going to bring up the File Explorer, because that's one of the things that you should have learned about in the past week is the File Explorer. And one of the things that I just want to show you is that on your C drive, everybody should have a documents folder. Normally you can find that right up at the top, documents. And in your documents folder, if you have not already created a folder for your Dragon user exports, you should do that, because that's what I do. I keep all of my exports in one place. That way, if I need to import my user profile from one that I did in the past, like let's say whatever happened last night that made my user think, made Dragon think my user was a new user. Let's say that it totally screwed up my user. Well, I could come here and import from here where I last saved it. And so I think it's a really great idea to have a Dragon user exports folder in your My Documents. And I just call it DNS for Dragon Naturally Speaking User Exports. And that's also where I back up to. And then I might, after I do that, I sometimes move it to the cloud. So I'll move it to Dropbox or my OneDrive, so that I have it in multiple locations. Because if God forbid you ever get a virus, then really taking something off your computer to use isn't a great idea. So having it on a free Dropbox account or OneDrive account is a great idea. It's a great way to protect yourself and the hard work you've put into building your Dragon user. So that's one thing that I do with File Explorer that's very important. If you'd like to know where all of your data lives, under Local Disk C, if we go to Program Data, then Audio Scribe, then Transcriptionist, you'll see that that's where all of your data lives. That's where your audio is, that's where your text is, your styles, your voice DRA files are there. So that's where everything lives. That's where all your data lives on your hard drive for Transcriptionist. And then under Program Data as well, you'll see Nuance. That's the makers of Dragon Naturally Speaking. And so if you double click on Nuance, you'll see Naturally Speaking 15. And if you double click on that, you'll see a folder called Users. This is where your Dragon user profiles live. And so it's good to know that they live here, because if ever you want to protect them and Dragon will not open, you can always path to this location, copy the folders, and paste them to another place so that you can still perhaps access them once Dragon is fixed. By the way, all of you have access, just want to remind you that you have access to the YouTube channel, where that's where you see your classes. That's where I send you to see classes that we've done before. That's also where all of the other classes I've done are. So it's a useful place to check out. Yesterday I posted a little video for those of you who are having trouble with the import feature. And if you click on videos, you'll see all of the videos available for you to watch here. And this is where, let's see. This is a quick video on download styles from ACE and import styles into SpeechCat. And Michelle has a video here, how to use Real-Time Coach with SpeechCart, which is another one of our programs, but it works the same in Transcriptionist. We also have another YouTube channel, which you are more than welcome to go to. And this one has all sorts of videos that relate to the different sorts of features that we have. If you go to videos, you'll see all the videos, not just the playlists. For instance, here's one on housekeeping. That's how to keep your system clean. That'll show you how to delete jobs and things like that. There's a video here on creating a new user in Dragon. Here's a video on creating a real-time rule. All of these are the ones that you see when there's a video in the Transcriptionist course. And so this is where all of those videos live. Finally, next. Okay, and then here's the last screen. It says that 397 new words were found, but only 2 words were added to the vocabulary. An adaptation of your writing style completed successfully. You click on Finish. So as you can see, this is a lot more time consuming than anything. It's not hard, it's just time consuming. It's a lot of wait for Dragon to finish. And anytime we do this, we want to save our speech files before we exit. So we'll say yes to that. and we can exit out of Scratchpad. One of the things about Scratchpad that you should know is that Scratchpad shows you how Dragon does things. So in Scratchpad, you also see the asterisk Q asterisk and the asterisk A asterisk and the asterisk speaker 1 asterisk. So I believe that that is all I really wanted to show you. Oh, I'm going to show you how to export the user profile. That we do in Dragon alone. So I'm going to exit out of Scratchpad and exit out of Transcriptionist. And I'm going to open up Dragon by itself. And I'm going to show you how to export your user profile and import it back in with the name backup. We do this to save our user in another place so that it's safe outside of Dragon as well. So I'm going to open up my user profile. Okay. And now I'm going to go Profile, Manage User Profiles. And when I get here, I can see all my users. I'm going to click on Advanced and Export. That allows me to tell my system, to tell Dragon where on my system I want that user profile to go. So I'm going to go ahead and go to my documents. I'm going to find my Dragon Naturally Speaking User Exports folder, and I'm going to say OK. It exports very quickly. So it says that it's completed successfully. So I'm going to click on OK. Now I'm going to import the user profile. So this is what you would do if your user was not working well.
Can I say something real quick, Adria?
Please.
Keep in mind that the longer you have a user profile and the more work you've put into it, the export will take more time.
Very good point. So I'm going to click on Advanced and Import, and I'm going to go to Documents. And here is my Dragon user export. So I'm going to click on the user that I want to import, and I'm going to click on OK. It's going to come up and say, well, wait a minute. There's already one with this same name in there. Do you want to overwrite it? If I thought my user profile was bad, I would say yes, overwrite it. But I don't think so. So what I want to do is import it with another name. So I'm going to just add the word backup and click on OK. And now I have my user and my user with the word backup. And I have it there so that if ever something goes wrong with my user, I can switch to my backup and keep on rolling. So that's the process of exporting your user and importing your user. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and exit Dragon at this point and return to Transcriptionist. And again, it's asking me, it's saying, I need to launch accuracy tuning. Can I do it now? And I'm going to say remind me later because I need to go into Transcriptionist and I can't do that with Dragon open. So I'm going to go into Transcriptionist now. The way Transcriptionist is meant to work, the way you're using it now with Real-Time Coach is for the purpose of learning how to voice write. But once you're finished with all of this and you're using Transcriptionist on a daily basis, the process is pretty simple. You're going to click on New just like you do now, and the new job screen is going to appear. And we would select, normally if we were past this class, we would go and select one of our TNT styles, and we would fill out whatever information we had. Might be a motion hearing. And then I would click on acquire, and I would go and get the audio file that I'm going to be listening to. So we have put audio on your computer, I believe in the documents folder. It's not where it is on my computer. So I'm going to go to audio to dictate from, and I'm going to choose a dictation. I'm going to go ahead and choose this one and click on open. And it's going to tell me that it acquired the file or files. And I'm going to click on OK. And now all I have to do is click on dictate. And of course, I want to load the speech engine. So I'm going to make sure there's a check in that box and click on OK. And when the scope screen opens, you'll see something a little new. You'll see this screen on your left. And the reason you're seeing this screen now is because there's audio attached to the job. I still need to wait for my engine to load before I can do anything. This is a very good question. Kendra asked, how often should we back up the user? I think that it's a great idea when you're doing as much work as you are doing right now that you back up your user every week. So I would tell you to make a plan. Whatever day is good for you, say, okay, well, this is the day every week I'm going to back up my user. That way it's a part of your schedule, something that you know you have to do regularly. And the reason I say you want to do it weekly right now is because you are improving your user profile every week by doing these dictations and these corrections. And so because you're doing so much work, you really want to back it up weekly so that you don't lose everything you've done. Because what you've done with all this dictation and correction is really tremendously beneficial. And you should be seeing your accuracy rising as you do the correction. So it's really important right now to save your user profile weekly. When you're not doing as much correction mechanism, I think saving your user profile once a month is sufficient. But right now, at the rate that you're learning and teaching Dragon, it's best to do it weekly. So once you see topic ready, your user profile has loaded, then you can click on play to start the playback, or you can turn on your foot pedal if you use a foot pedal. I have a foot pedal beneath here. Here it is. And so
Would they need to set their foot pedal options
yes.
if they haven't used it before?
Yes, very good. Do you all have foot pedals? No. Okay, well then we won't even talk about foot pedals if you don't have foot pedals. You'll be using your fingers. Okay, so a good thing to know is that F5 starts audio playback.
I am a clinical epidemiologist.
And how long have you held?
F6 stops audio playback. Now, your machine, they're Lenovo's, right? Or they IBM ThinkPads, Lenovo's? Yes? Okay. So if they are like my Lenovo, in order to use the F keys as F keys, you have to make sure that the number lock is on. And for me, it's called, function lock. It's an FN, F as in Frank, N as in Nancy. Mine is on the lower left corner of my keyboard. That doesn't mean that's where yours is going to be, because you have a different model and it could be different. But I'd like for you to look for the FN key. Do you see it at all? Has anybody located it? Yes. Leslie, would you tell everybody where it is on your computer? So has everybody located it? For me, when it's on, there's a green light. Is that true for you? No. So yours does not have a green light when it's on? Okay, how do you know it's on? No way of telling that it's on? Because when my function lock is on, is the only time I see the green light. Now, there's normally a key that you have to hit to turn function lock on.
It would be one of the function keys, and it would have a lock on it, I believe, like a like a little lock.
Oh, okay. So there's a lock. That wasn't it. You might have to look at your top left has escape. So you have to hit escape and function lock. Oh, Laura says you can hit FN plus FN lock. So before you start working with your audio to use the function keys, you will need to lock it. Okay, and that will lock them on. That way when you hit F5, it will play the audio. And when you hit F6, it will stop audio playback. Now, when we acquired the file, you noticed probably that I only acquired one file. That's fine, but if you get multiple files for a job, just please know that you can acquire multiple files. You can acquire up to 9 files. Do you see up in the left-hand corner? And only the buttons that are lit will tell you how many files you've acquired. So the file I acquired must have been a stereo file because I only acquired one, but I have 2 channels.
Adria, can I add something to this?
Please, yes.
Having scoped before without a foot pedal, if you go to the audio, if you go to the menu bar and go to audio, there's hotkeys that will, let's see, decrease the playback speed and increase the playback speed, fast forward as opposed to F8 and F9. So there's more hotkeys than you and I use on a regular basis because we use foot pedals, but I just wanted to show you and then maybe show them about these other hotkeys.
That is great. That is great. Thank you, Mitch. So what Michelle is saying is that because you're not using a foot pedal, all these hotkeys right here are going to be important to you. So as I said earlier, F5 to play, Alt F8 is rewind, F6 is pause and resume audio, Alt F9 is fast forward, F7 is switch channel. Now, you will only ever use F7 if you have multiple channels of audio, because of course you're not going to switch channels if you only have one channel. Go to previous marker. When you're dictating and you say QCO or Keek or CAC or speed 1 or speed 2, those are markers. So when you hit F8, you're going to the previous marker, meaning you're not just going back 3 seconds to hear the last 6 words. You're going back to the previous question or the previous answer and starting to play back from there. I think that is used primarily by court reporters because when they have to do read back. I like to go back like about 6 words. So when I go back, I generally am using a foot pedal, but I would probably use...
Would they even have markers though? Because this audio is not going to have markers in it.
Right. This audio will not have markers in it. Well, no, this audio will have markers. I think it'll have Q&A. Let's see.
Left position.
For 3.5 years,
What are your duties as a clinical epidemiologist?
I manage and
What I mean is that the audio itself does not have a notes file with the markers and stuff.
Ah, okay, Mitch. I'm sorry I wasn't with you, but I am now. Yeah, there'll be no marks in the audio because you're getting audio from the courtroom, and it won't necessarily have markers in it that SpeechCat will understand. So that's really irrelevant. So you'll most likely be using, I would say, Control F8 and F9 to increase and decrease playback speed, especially decreasing it. In the beginning, you know, you guys are going to be trained all the way to 220 in speed, but gratefully, when people are talking fast, they don't normally sustain speed. It's normally a short burst of speed. But it is so good to know that you can decrease the playback speed, because if you're listening to audio and the people are talking too fast, it's just going to be trash, you know, because you're going to be going over your words, mumbling over your words. So I would say always know that you can decrease the playback speed. That way you can understand what they're saying. You can say it more clearly because you can slow it down. So I would get to know those hotkeys that you're going to use the most. These should all be on your handy, your laminated paper on the hotkeys page, because that is going to be tremendously useful and something that you're going to do a lot. So that is how you bring in audio, which is not something you're having to do for Real-Time Coach, but it is something you'll have to do on your job, importing stuff. Okay. Remember I told you about exporting your work? I'm going to close out of here and go into a job that has text. Okay, so here's my text. And this is after it's been corrected. You can just go to Job, Save as Text File. And when you do that, you're going to path to Local Disk C. Then you're going to go to Topic Files. And you're going to go to My Clean Text. And generally, I like to save it for what it's about. Okay, so this is a jury charge. So I'm going to just call it jury charge and hit enter, and that's done. So again, job, save as text file, name, go to program, not program data, pardon me, C, topic files, my clean text, name it for what it is. I'm going to call this jury charge 2 and save. That's it. And that way later you can run it through Learn from Specific Documents. So that's a really good thing. I'm sure that you have been learning a lot of your hotkeys. It really makes things easier. Control I, remember, is initial cap. Do it again and it's lowercase. Control U is uppercase, and that's a toggle. And control period is period, 2 spaces, and cap next. Some long sentences. Okay. Does anybody have any questions about the hotkeys that you've been learning? Okay. Someone asked a question about archiving and the fact that it says audio archive. No, we don't have archiving in this product because you most likely will not need to archive your work. What you will need to know after you turn in a job is how to delete the job so that you don't keep building up large volumes of audio on your computer. So I'm going to show you how to delete a job. You select the job by clicking in the gray box on the left side, and that will highlight the job in blue. You click on File and Delete Job. It's going to come up and say, are you sure you want to do that? You either say yes or no. When you say yes, it's going to delete the job and it's going to delete the audio. It's all going to go to the recycle bin. And so you have a certain amount of time to restore it, of course. And I'll do that again for you. Click on the job, File, Delete Job. Yes. Easy enough? Okay, so that's deleting jobs. Okay. One of the things that I'd like to show you that you might find useful right now is while you are working with Real-Time Coach, you may create a job, do the dictation, and you're not pleased with your accuracy, so you want to do it again. Instead of clicking on New Job, you can highlight the job that you want to do again and click on Copy Job. What that does is it brings up the new job information with the same job info. So it's still got the title, Real-Time Coach Veterans 165. And I'm going to come over here under job replacement fields, and I'm going to type in second take. And then I can click on apply and OK and go back to Real-Time Coach and do my dictation. So that's just something that might help you to save yourself a little bit of time. You can also move jobs that are done, like for instance, when a job is presented, we say that it's finished and we can then move it to the history list. And so this icon up here is moved to history. And when I click on it and say yes, all those jobs disappear. Where are they? They're in the history list. And when you click on the history tab, you can see what has been moved to the history list. And that's every job that's been presented, every job that is finished. Now, I know you're probably getting to the point where you're curious about how to bring in the cover pages and things like that to actually complete the job. I had someone ask that very early on, how do I bring in the cover pages? And that is exciting to see. So I'm going to go ahead and go into scope real fast and just show you what it looks like when we finalize, and then I'll let you all go because I know I'm over time here. So when we're done with transcription of the job and we're ready to bring in our cover pages, we simply go to Job and Finalize. Now, this is not a good example. Let me close out of here. I want to show you a job with one of your covers. So I'm going to open up the job itself. And to open up the job menu, all you have to do is double click on the job. And when you open the job menu, you can actually change the style. And when we change the style to one of the Trinidad and Tobago styles, we can fill in these fields. I'm just going to put in some various fields. I'm going to leave the rest empty. I just wanted to show you what it looks like with some information in. And normally here you would have, you know, Fort, Mr. Brown. Okay. I'm going to click on apply and OK. And now I'm going to go back to scope and job, finalize. And I'm just going to click on OK and OK. And then it brought in the cover page that was associated with this job, as you can see. And at the end, it brought in the declaration page. And after we do that, we can still type in anywhere in here. We can still say, well, I want this centered, you know, if you want to do that, or if you want to indent it. Let's see if I set an indent. I can set an indent at 3 inches and then indent, and it moves. Looks like 3 was too much. I can go in and change it to 1.5. And I'll say no indent, and then indent it again. That's a little better. And then our next thing is to go to job and present, and that's what drops us into the word processor. And you can still edit in the word processor as well. So you'll see, you can still listen to the audio in Word if that is what you want. And all of a sudden you have a federal box, you have text at the bottom, you have headers, you have footers, and you can still edit to make things look the way you want them to look. Let's say you want this centered. So you still have full editing power here in Word. But by the time you're here, you should be ready to print. Now, the one thing that I notice is that there's too many lines per page, and that can easily be fixed by going to layout and margins and making sure that your top and bottom margins is set to 1.3. That usually fixes it, and it did. And you're ready to print at that point. So that's finalize and present for you. And I've kept you long enough. Thank you so much for your attention today. And I will see you next week. And I'm sure that we will talk sooner than that. You guys have a great day.